heard of Grand Sirenis before when searching where to go next. It's never been on my top list to go to, but that's just what I had to choose from out of the resorts that, you know, I was left with the free quarantine option, because I can't afford to stay in Mexico 2 more weeks, so free quarantine sounded amazing. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. So before we jump into this vlog, I just wanted to come on here and say that I hate doing bad reviews on anything makeup, beauty related, going to places. However, I really feel like I need to share this because people work hard for vacations and saving for vacations, and we've been to Mexico so many times. I believe this is like our 13th or 14th trip back, and this was probably one of the worst experiences we've had. This is not impressing us very much at all. Let's just hope the next few days go good. It's our 4th trip the past year to Mexico during COVID, so I realized COVID might change things at a resort. However, some of the stuff is just, it needs to be shared with you guys. So this resort that we went to, the Grand Sirenis, and stuff that we liked, stuff we didn't like. There was way more cons than pros. If I said that right. I just want to say that I know these people at these resorts are working really hard. And again, I hate to, like, you know, come on here and leave a negative review, but again, it's just my opinion. If you've been to this resort and love it, then continue to go back. But yeah, this is just one person's opinion, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. I'm not a total snob when it comes to going places and stuff, and I can't afford to stay at like top of the line luxury resorts and destinations, which is a reason why we go to Mexico. So this is mostly to the people that are new travelers to Mexico, or have maybe thought about this resort but have been on the fence. Maybe this will help you decide. So I decided to split these videos up from our resort that we originally booked with, the Grand Sirenis, and then just the couple days that we stayed there before we switched over to the Barcelo. The Barcelo vlog will be coming up next. It's coming. If you're mostly interested in that, just stay tuned. I get all my messages over there. I will respond back to you if you have any questions about traveling to Mexico, any worries, concerns, or just advice and tips. I don't mind sharing any of that, so just follow me on Instagram. It's linked down below. Hit me up there, send me a DM, and I'll be glad to help you out as much as I can. So after about an hour-and-a-half to almost 2-hour ride, we arrived at the Grand Sirenis. Typically, it usually would only take between 45 to 60 minutes to get here, but they were having some major traffic issues. So it was a very long ride. We were super hungry and ready to get some food, but I will tell you more about that in just a second. Here is the grounds. The entrance is very concrete. It kind of, like, in the inside, reminding me of like a Star Wars type of theme vibe. Not the most tropical, but first impression, it was just very basic inside. Lots of seating, a couple bars. One thing, it was just always super hot in here because there wasn't much airflow and they didn't have AC. So at some of the other resorts we've been to, it's got a nice breeze coming through if it's open like this with no inside type of AC. Again, I know it's Mexico, but I'm comparing to other resorts for you guys, and we were just dripping in sweat everywhere we went here. Day 1 has not gone very well. We arrived and there was no food really. The only food options were down at the beach, and everything was very stale, very limited. We had not ate since about 4 o'clock that morning, and with a 2-hour almost car ride from the airport, we were hungry, and at most resorts, they have something for you to chow down on as soon as you get there. But we made it work. Ate some bread basically until the buffet opened, which was 2 hours later at 1 o'clock. Went to the buffet. It was very, very hot inside the buffet, very humid. After you've been outside of Mexico, you want to go somewhere cool. And then just to get in line and see the very, very limited buffet options was another letdown. The food was not very great. So then we leave, go to the pool, wait on our room, get back to our room, and it's hot. I mean, hotter than hell in there. We've been to so many different resorts, and I think this is by far just one of the worst ones we've been to. I get it was only day one, but I was pretty frustrated, as you could tell. I had to walk back and forth 3 different times from our room that was very far away over to the lobby because no one was answering about our room situation. So I was a little on the frustrated side. And I do not like sharing bad reviews because I know these people are working as hard as they can. However, I'm here to be honest, give you the details on what resorts are good and what's not. And so far, this is not impressing us. Let's just hope the next few days go good. We're fixing to move rooms. Hopefully it'll be a little bit cooler. The drinks are okay. They're not too bad at all. So that's a bonus. The kids are really enjoying the inflatables up here. But other than that, that's about the only highlights I have to share. Now, like I said, the kids were really enjoying the inflatables. It was nice that they had them. The pools were really hot. Maybe it was just because we were walking around sweating, trying to get the rooms figured out. But as the days went on that we were there, I just noticed how hot these pools were compared to other pools we've been to. The bartenders were amazing. We always, tip while we're there. It wasn't super crowded, which was nice. Now, the next couple of days, once we got there, the bars really started getting crowded, so it was hard to get a drink. The seating was kind of limited unless you get there early. Maybe they just didn't have very many chairs put out, the days we were there. So let's rewind just a little bit, and I'm going to show you the room situation. This is when we first got to our very first room before we switched. They are nice enough to drive you around in their golf carts, which is a bonus because this resort is not, I wouldn't say it's on the large side, but it's pretty big when you're walking the distance. Our first room was pretty far away from the pools, and it was on the 3rd floor. The grounds were nice. There was a lot of vegetation in between the buildings, which I always love. I hate a lot of concrete. I want it to feel very tropical when I'm in Mexico. Very quick tour of our room. Again, I didn't do a very good job filming everything like I normally do into detail because we were just a little frustrated. So we got in. The rooms looked very modern, very nice. Beds were kind of small. I mean, this is all 5 of us sharing. And the second room we moved to was the exact same layout. The airflow, the air conditioner problem was still there. So I didn't re-record the next room since they were basically the same. So my girls took the couch that folded out a little bit, and me and my husband were on this kind of like double twin bed, and my son was on the other side. As you can see, I wanted to zoom in close to this window. It's neat and all, it opens up to the bathroom, but I think that's a lot of the problem. Like the humidity from the showers and everything just kind of escaped to the room, and it made it so hot. We ended up having to drag the bed to the middle of the room underneath the fan because we were literally sweating at night. Again, you're outside all day, you get a little sunburnt, you really want to come back to a cold room, and that was not the case here. And that was one of the biggest letdowns and disappointments when you're paying this much money to travel to a resort. You want to have a nice, cool room. Basically, we took a lot of cold showers right before we laid down to make it more bearable, and they eventually brought us a fan, thank goodness, because it was just really hard to sleep. So anyway, enough about the rooms. Now let's move on to the beach. One thing I noticed with their beach, obviously there's a huge seaweed problem, which you'll see in a minute, but it was so rough on my feet, a lot of rocks, and I'll show you in just a minute. It wasn't like the thick, fluffy sand that we've had at other resorts. Like you're going to have to be careful walking until you get really close to the water because you could cut your foot very easily. Now, when I was looking at the pictures before we got here, I thought, oh, this beach has got more of a cove style beach, so maybe that'll be better for like blocking some of the intense waves, or maybe some better snorkeling with the rocks being the cove style. But that was not really the case. Again, I get that this resort cannot be faulted for the seaweed problem because that's just Mother Nature. They weren't working on the seaweed problem like I've seen other resorts. Again, there's more rocks. But this beach was, you couldn't swim. Like it would be way too hard. They had one little tiny area that we were able to get in the water and get over to a ruin section, which I thought was really cool. But for the most part, this beach was not very impressive, especially just because of the rockiness everywhere and you not having that nice sand under your feet. I love the feeling of sand, and you just didn't get that here. Again, you can call me picky, but we've just been to so many resorts. I have that in the back of my mind when we go to a different resort. I'm comparing it to the last one. So the vegetation around the beach was not very manicured. It wasn't laid out. I mean, maybe it's because it's kind of a ghost town and they didn't really do much with it the week we were there. I don't know. But even without the seaweed being there, it just wasn't the prettiest beach area, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So my kids and my husband were over there exploring on the rocks. They thought it was pretty neat. I was just hoping they wouldn't fall and cut themselves because those rocks can be pretty sharp. But they did have this little ruin you could kind of walk across to, which I thought again was pretty neat. I don't know if it's a authentic like ruin or if it's like something the hotel did, but I mean it's a little adventurous thing that you can do with your family. Again, if the seaweed wasn't a big problem, it would be pretty to walk up here and gaze at the ocean, but there was just not much prettiness to look at with the seaweed problem, which is going on all throughout Mexico. I think April, May, June even, they said that this is going to be a big problem this year. This is typical seaweed season, but they've never seen it as bad. So again, I'm not faulting the resort for the seaweed problem. I mean, they look like they're trying as much as they can, but there's not much you can do when it's just coming in 24/7. In saying that, wait till my next vlog and you can see the difference of the two beaches and how they're taking care of it. So one thing I did miss was walking around the buffet and showing you each individual section of what they offer. Again, it was kind of hot and humid in there. I didn't really love that about the buffet, and the options were kind of limited at lunch. We did go at dinner time and it seemed okay-ish. Breakfast was good. Of course, I didn't film that, but breakfast was really good at the buffet. Lunch, not so much. We were kind of just picking and choosing. They did have pizza. My kids liked the pizza. I liked the desserts. That was my favorite part, was just all the different desserts, but the food at lunch was not our favorite. Now, if you're lucky to score a few reservations for the a la carte dinners, those are really good. All the restaurants were good that we tried. We tried 3 before we switched. Technically, we were only supposed to be allowed 2 restaurants, but the first night at the buffet, they hardly had anything. I mean, there were empty trays everywhere. So my husband went up to the front desk and said, "Hey, we are starving. The buffet was not good at lunch. Is there any way possible we could get into a restaurant tonight, even if it's at 9 o'clock at night?" And they did let us go to the Mexican restaurant here, and it was good. Thank goodness they let us come in. When you first arrive, the most important thing is always book your reservations so they don't fill up. We went to go try to do that as soon as we got here, and our concierge was missing even on the times that they said he would be there. He was not around. So when we finally found him, he said, "Well, you're only limited to 2 reservations with your 5-night stay." And I've never been somewhere where they limit you on a la carte restaurants. Maybe that's a thing with a lot of resorts, but we just haven't experienced that with any other resorts we've been to. So that was a letdown, only being allowed 2 restaurants. But again, I mean, it is what it is. We at least got to enjoy the Mexican restaurant. The next night we went to the steakhouse, which is right beside the pool. It was really good. I will talk more about that in just a second, but the food was pretty good there. Obviously, it's not like steaks you get in Texas, but you know, it's better than the buffet at least, and we got a reservation there. So here's a couple shots of what we ordered. I got chicken and everyone else got steaks. The sides were really, really good. Before you hear me talking, I want to excuse my attitude in my rant, but day 3 nights of not sleeping very well in a hot room and not much food options during the day, it was just kind of wearing on my mind. We are on day 3. Now we are back at the main pool where we tend to hang out because the beach is just unswimmable right now. The pools are like a sauna. It's like everybody just pisses in there, and that's what you're swimming in the whole day is what it feels like a little kid pool. I don't know if they heat the pools. I don't know if it's just not good circulation, but they're hot, like the hottest pools we've ever had at a resort. Actually, no, when we stayed at Hard Rock, they had a pool right by the swim-up bar, and it was really hot, so we always would get drinks and then go to a different pool. They have another pool that's in a U-shape over right beside this one, and a lazy river that feels the exact same way. Everything's super, super hot. So breakfast is pretty good. Lunches are horrible here. There's not much to choose from. Dinners, if you can get a reservation, the dinners are good. We did steakhouse last night. It was pretty good. And the drinks are pretty good. Other than that, that is the only positives I have to say so far about this resort. But trying to make the best. Again, it's very hard to sleep in the rooms because they're so hot at night. And I've talked to several different people at the pools and asked how their rooms were, how their experience is, and so far everybody's kind of said the same thing that I have said. This is like a member hotel. I think some resorts are like this, but they sell memberships here, and so they've got some members here, and they are like, oh, we absolutely love this resort and blah blah blah. They are in a different section, so maybe their rooms are better. They can get as many dinner reservations as they want, so they don't have to deal with the nasty buffets. Again, if this is your first time traveling to Mexico and you have nothing to compare this resort to, then you might be happy. But we were just here a couple months ago at Iberostar, and obviously that's fresh on my mind, and I'm going to compare it to that, and it is nowhere near, the Grand Sirenis is nowhere near the quality like Iberostar. Pools are nice and cold. The food is way better. They don't limit you on restaurants. The rooms are freezing cold, which I love after being, outside in the sun all day long. I don't want to get back to a hot hotel room. Are actually going to be hopefully getting a day pass to go to a different resort that has better pools, better food, just to hopefully get a little bit of a better experience. Maybe tomorrow or the next day before we leave on Wednesday. So I'll update y'all on that and see if that happens. We're fixing to go to see the dolphin show that they have here, which sounds pretty fun. Hopefully that'll lift our spirits a little bit. The kids seem to be doing okay. They spend their time playing on that big inflatable over there, and we've done the lazy river a couple of times, so I'm just thankful that they have something here. But again, they definitely agreed that Iberostar a couple months ago was a little bit better trip. So the dolphin show was pretty neat. It only lasted like 10 minutes, and they asked us to wear a mask sitting here outside. I really didn't understand that, but most people kind of had it pulled down. But nowhere else at this resort did they ask you to wear a mask except watching the dolphins or if you were near food, which I thought was kind of weird. And there is the wonderful smell.
Ew. No, it's not wonderful.
Smells very, like fresh, stanky fish. So yet another thing to add to the list is most of this resort around the pools, the lazy river, it just smelled like sewage. People were saying it's the seaweed problem. However, when we went down to the ocean and walked around, it didn't smell like that with the ocean breeze and stuff. It was just kind of around this area. So I don't know. Was it seaweed? Was it sewage? I don't know, but it just stunk. And it was kind of hard to escape the smell. I do like this lazy river other than the nice smell that we're enjoying right now. Look how fast, though, we move in the lazy river. It's got a nice current. I just wish it was colder. It feels like a broken hot tub. So on our third night, which is technically supposed to be our second reservation, our last one, but we were able to add that Mexican restaurant, we are now at the Italian place. And on top of the Italian place, it had a fun bar. I didn't show much of that, but it had like a rooftop bar. You could go and get drinks afterwards. Since we had the kids, we didn't do that. But this was a really neat area, and the food was so yummy at this Italian restaurant. I think other than the rooms being hot, that was the most frustrating thing, is that they limit you on restaurant reservations unless you're one of their members who want to pay all this extra money, to have like a timeshare basically at this hotel. I just really feel like everybody should be able to have as many restaurant reservations as they want. That's how all the other resorts have been that we've been to. So just heads up, if you come here, you might have to settle with the buffet a lot. And sometimes they are always saying that they're sold out of restaurant reservations by the time you get to your concierge. And you kind of have to stick with the buffet for majority of your stay. If you're not a big foodie person like I guess we are, then maybe this wouldn't bother you. But one of the best things about these all-inclusive resorts is the unlimited options you can get, and that includes restaurants. So when you're paying thousands of dollars, that's a big important thing to me to look for, is how good the food is and how much is available. Disasters in the air. So a positive about this resort was the theater and the shows. I loved the theater. It was huge, plenty of seating for everybody. It kind of had like the rising effect where you could sit close down or it rose up so you could always see, no one was in the way type of thing. And the shows were really good. The two shows that we seen were really good. They had Lion King, which the kids loved, and then they had like an acrobatic circus themed one the next night. But those were the only two shows we caught before we ended up moving resorts. So in saying all that, our third night there, I ended up looking online and figured out that just getting a day pass for all of us was going to be near $600-700 to go to a different resort to enjoy a day. So I looked online at like 1 o'clock in the morning, looked down the road at the Barcelo. It was going to cost about $1,000 to move. I wanted to end our last couple of days on a good note. Who knows when we'll be able to bring our kids back, and it was worth every single penny, you guys. I mean, this resort is awesome. I'm kicking myself for not booking this place first, but you live and you learn. So this is the price that we paid for Grand Sirenis for all 5 of us for 5 nights and 6 days. And this is the price we paid in January for all 5 of us, same amount of time, 5 nights and 6 days. Now, of course, different times of the year fluctuate, so summertime can be a little bit more expensive, but the Grand Sirenis and Iberostar have always been very, very close in pricing. So if you're interested in Iberostar, please check out my vlog that I just did in January so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with what you can get for the same amount of money. Coming to you from the beautiful Barcelo. I think we're at the Tropical. They have like 4 resorts and one basically. We had the opportunity to move even though we only have like 3 days left here. I wish we'd have done this sooner, but we were trying to give it a chance. Hoping the Grand Sirenis would get better, but it was just getting worse and worse as each day and night went by. We transferred over here to the Barcelo, and already just checking in, the vibe of this resort is so much better. Oh my gosh, I'm kicking myself for not coming here sooner. I mean, I can feel the wind walking through here. I love the tropical resort vibe, the feel. This pool I'll show you in a little bit is right next to the ocean. I'm going back in here to check in with my husband. Already dropped the kids off at the pool, but yeah, we're gonna be so much happier here. I can already tell. So if you're interested in seeing this beautiful resort, then stay tuned for my next vlog, and thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe for more vlogs, more travel vlogs, and beauty videos, and I will see you guys in my next one.